Okay, today's daf is Yoma daf Chaf, Yoma 20. It says in the Mishnah on Chaf and Aleph, Bechol Yom Tormin as a Mizbeach, Kriya Sagvar, O Samuchlo, in front of Ben La'acharav. He should raise the Trumas Hadesh and take off the ashes when someone announced daybreak. Yom Kippur, Mechatzos, Mechatzos, Yom Kippur at Chatzos, Regal, Mashmur Rishona. And during Yom Tov, they would do it earlier than Chatzos, Ashmor Rishona, around, let's say, 10 o'clock at night. They would start doing Haramas Hadesh and taking off the ashes of the Korbanos that were, the Ivarim Pudarim that were burning the whole night. So the Gemara says, if you have pieces of these Ivarim Pudarim that fell off the Mizbeach, Rashi adds that Umashla ben Azor, and they weren't become charcoal. They weren't completely charcoal. They were mostly burnt. So before Chatzos, you have to return it. You can't take it off. You can't do Haromas Hadeshin with that. After Chatzos, you don't have to put it back on. And the Gemara says, where you know that from an immediately. I'm a Rav Kosvach Omer Kol Alayla V'Hikter Kosvach Omer Kol Alayla V'Hirim. Part of it's for Aktara, part of the night is for Aktara, part of the night is for Harama. So the Marsi just split it up until Chatzos is a time for Aktara. Now we know Rashi and the Rishon explain that if it was completely charcoal, so you could already do Haramas Hadeshin from whenever it became a charcoal, even if it was before Ashmura Rishona. We're only talking about a specific case over here where it Mashal ben Hasaor, where it became mostly burnt, but not completely burnt, and therefore, if the cutoff line is Chatzos, after Chatzos you don't have to put it back on. Before Chatzos you have to put it back on. So the Gemara asks a question: Meiser of Khan b'chol yom tarmitz in hizbech b'kriya sagvar samachlav b'nefanav b'nelach. It brings our Mishnah. And the Gemara says, based on that, on the top of the Chol from Rabbeis, v'yisal gedaytach mechatzos del Raisa heichi makdaminan. How do you make it earlier? So what's the question of the Gemara? So Art Scroll and Rashi over here learn, the question is on the Regalim. The question is on Yom Tov, you do it from Yom Kippur, you do it at Chatzos. You do the Harama, Trumas Hadesh and Chatzos. And therefore, even if it's not Mashal Ben Hatzor, at least it's Chatzos, which is start of Harama. But on Yom Tov, you do it at Shmur Rishon at 10 o'clock, it's earlier. How could you do that? The Gemara answers, El Amar Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara seems to go back on this. The Gemara is a new drasha, seemingly a new drasha. I want to suggest over here, the Gemara really is not asking on Yom Tov, on Regalim, the Gemara is really asking on Yom Kippur. Because that is the Masech that we're learning here. We're learning Masechas Yoma over here, and the Gemara feels necessity to bring it over here in Masechas Yoma. And the question is, because it says in the Mishnah, it says it doesn't have to be exactly at Kriya Sagvar. It could be either a little before or a little after. It says Yom Kippur Mechatzos. So when it says Yom Kippur Mechatzos, does that mean exactly at Chatzos? Or does it mean, like we said before, like a regular day, Samuchlo is good enough also. So our Gemara is assuming, when the Gemara asks a question from our Mishnah, on this Mishnah in Zvachim, the Gemara is assuming that Yom Kippur also, you could do it bein milfana bein milachar Samuchlo. Even, let's say, half an hour before, you could even start taking off. You could do Haramas Hadeshin, say a half an hour before Chatzos. So the Gemara knew already, when the Gemara asked a question, the Gemara knew that on Yom Tov, you're only going to do Haramas Hadeshin on charcoal. Things, the need of our Gemara, where it's Mashal Ben Hatzor, it became hardened, slightly hardened, but not completely burnt. That the Gemara knew on Regalim, only charcoal you could do, because it's too early. On a regular day, you would wait to Kriya Sagvar, but Yom Kippur, where it was very close to this pasuk, so that's the Gemara's question. We see from our Mishnah they do it even a little before, but the psukim seem to say exactly Chatzos. So how can you do it a little before? A little before. It tells us that the Heichi Ma'acharina, and it says in parentheses Heichi Ma'acharina. It tells us says also How can you do it after on Yom Kippur? How can you do it after? There's reason Makdim in the mitzvah, so you should do it right at Chatzos. Ela Amar Rabbi Yochanan, and the Gemara, when the Gemara answers Amar Rabbi Yochanan, it's not really a new answer like Rashi here understands it. Rashi and Zvachim understands it differently, that we're really holding on to the original drasha, that Chatzos is the time. But we have another drasha, it says Ada Boker, extra Ada Boker, to teach me that Samuch, whether half an hour before or half an hour after, is also good, even if it's not completely charcoal. And that's the new pasuk that's coming. It's reframing the original pasuk. We're not falling away from the original pasuk. We're reframing the original pasuk, since the original pasuk is talking about chatzos, and we are applying that to Yom Kippur. So Ada Boker tells me that even a half an hour before, half an hour after, is okay to do the Aramas Hadeshin on Yom Kippur.